Hi guys, I'm Anna, a clinical psychology doctoral intern. Today we're going to be talking about envy. So today I'm going to be talking about how, although envy is typically something we assume is caused by another person, where somebody has something that we want, it's actually more of a mindset issue that relates to us and ourselves. But before I get into that, I just want to quickly clear up the difference between envy and jealousy. Jealousy is when you're afraid that someone is going to take something away from you, such as, someone flirting with your partner. Envy is when you want to take something away from someone else, such as you want somebody else's partner. So before we get into it, I want to just pause for a moment and just get a really clear picture of something that you feel envious about. What is something that makes you feel envious? Really try to think, get a clear picture of it in your head, really visualize it for a moment. People think that envy is just wanting something that someone else has, but that's not actually what causes envy. If you see something that another person has and you don't want it, you don't feel envy. If you see something that another person has and you really want it, again, you don't necessarily feel envy. A lot of people see something that someone else has and they feel inspired. They think, I can't wait to get that for myself. Envy only emerges when you see something that someone else has, you want it really badly, and you believe that it is not attainable for you. That is the crux of it, the belief that it's not attainable for you. Think about it. Let's say that I see someone with great hair. Let's say it's really shiny. If I don't want really shiny hair that looks like hers, I'm not going to feel any type of way about it. I'm just going to go on with my day. Maybe I do want hair like hers. Maybe I see her hair and I think, wow, that looks so great. I really want that for myself. So maybe I go home and I think about what are some ways that I can moisturize my hair to get it more like her. Again, I'm not mad, I don't feel envious. It only turns into envy if I see that this girl has really silky, shiny hair. I want that for myself, and I don't believe that it's attainable for me. It's not just that someone has something I want, it's that I don't believe I can achieve it for myself. Let's use another example. Let's say that you want to get into your dream school, let's say Yale, Harvard, whatever. You're talking to someone who's currently attending the school or is an alum of the school, and you start to notice yourself feeling envious. Why is that? Because you want what they have, and you feel some sort of insecurity about being able to accomplish that. Maybe you have your interview coming up, and you don't think that you're going to do very well, or you think that it's out of your league, so to speak. Because if you did believe in yourself, you wouldn't feel envious at all. You would feel inspired. You would say, tell me more about how you got in, and have this underlying belief that I too am going to get in. One more example. Let's say that one of your friends moves to Europe. If you feel envious, it could be because you really want to go to Europe and you don't think it's attainable for whatever reasons. Whether it's moving your life across the ocean, immigration laws, finding a job there, your cat being anxious on the flight, whatever it is. But here's the key piece. It's not just that something is out of your reach. It's that it feels like it's out of your reach. It's your belief that it's not attainable for you that's the problem. Because let's say that it is perfectly attainable for you to move to Europe or to get into Harvard, but you believing that it's not is what stirs up those feelings of envy. So then your next step in dealing with envy is really assessing, is this actually not realistic for me to accomplish? Or does it just feel like it? In some situations, and these are rare situations, there actually will be things that are not within your reach. You could want to be 6 feet tall no matter how much. But if you're 5'2", it's probably not going to happen as a grown adult. You cannot make yourself taller. But I think what you'll find is that in most cases, the things that we think are so out of reach for us are not actually impossible. Let's say that you really envy people who have money. You wish you had that much money, but it's just out of your reach. Maybe you grew up in poverty, you couldn't get into higher education because you couldn't afford it. You currently have an unfulfilling job that doesn't really seem to have much growth opportunity. So you think, I'm never going to be rich. That is not achievable for me. Now, do those factors make it really difficult for you to achieve the wealth that you so desire? Absolutely. No doubt about it. It is going to be very difficult and challenging, and other people have certain legs to stand on that make it easier to accomplish that. But is it impossible? No, of course not. Stranger things have happened. Now, this might ruffle some feathers, but I think it needs to be said. As long as you believe that something is impossible for you, envy will continue to plague you. And if you actually want to be a part of that 1% that accomplishes something nearly impossible, you have to first believe that it's possible for you. I'm going to say it twice in case you missed it the first time. As long as you believe something is impossible for you, then it will be impossible for you. If you actually want to accomplish the nearly impossible, you have to believe it is possible. Okay, so how do you get yourself to believe that something is possible, which feels like it's really, really difficult? First, I think it's worth exploring, why do you think that this thing is impossible for you? And I think there are a lot of different reasons why this could be the case. I'm going to list 3 of the ones that I think tend to be the biggest ones. One really big reason why people think something is impossible when it's not is they have poor self-efficacy, meaning they haven't really proven to themselves that they can accomplish the things that they want, either because they don't believe that they can or they haven't given themselves the opportunity to prove it to themselves. If you have poor self-efficacy, you're not going to throw yourself into situations where you think you might fail because you believe you're going to fail. Whereas people with positive self-efficacy, they tend to think, yeah, I can pretty much accomplish anything I set my mind to. I've done this and this and this. Another reason that a lot of people think things are impossible is that they've been given that messaging by people around them, whether it's their friends, their family, society as a whole. Everyone has told them this thing is not possible for you. Like growing up, I really wanted to be a writer, and I would get messages from family members saying, well, if you're going to be a writer, you're going to starve to death because no one makes money off of writing. And so, of course, if I had believed that and internalized that I myself would never make money from writing, then I would feel envy about people who have become writers full-time. But I don't believe that for myself. I do believe that when I publish a book, it's going to do well. And so I don't feel that envy. And then I think a third really big reason why people assume something is impossible for them is for the very honest lack of resources. Some people just do not have that many resources to make the nearly impossible easy to achieve. Let's say that you want a certain body type, but you don't have access to a gym or fitness information or a physical trainer. You don't even know where to start. Okay, so let's take each of these common obstacles one at a time, starting with poor self-efficacy. The way to solve poor self-efficacy is to throw yourself into situations where you're going to build positive self-efficacy. Basically, proving yourself wrong, proving that you can accomplish the things you set out to do. For instance, my self-efficacy grew massively from applying to internship last year. It was a very grueling process, and I really aimed high. I didn't really have many backups. I only wanted to be at an ideal internship site. And lo and behold, I ended up at my top internship site. I proved it to myself. I said, I can reach high and accomplish the things that I want, and then I did it. And at this point, you might be thinking, okay, Anna, but what if I don't accomplish the thing that I want? What if I aim high and then I miss the target and I fail? Won't my self-efficacy be even lower then? Sure, if you try once, fail, and give up, then certainly your self-efficacy is going to go lower and lower. But the point is that you can't just give up if you fail. You have to keep failing over and over and over again until you learn valuable lessons, until you gain resources, until eventually you do get the thing that you want. No one said building self-efficacy is easy, and certainly me in my very last step of my doctorate program, which was applying for my internship, that was not the first moment that I set out to do something. So think about some moderate risk things that you can start to do to ensure that you can build some confidence in your ability to accomplish things that you want. Okay, what about the second obstacle of messaging we hear from other people? Honestly, the best way to counteract these sorts of messages is to just prove people wrong and try to not listen to them. Say that you really want to open a restaurant business and someone tells you that 50% of restaurant businesses close within a year, or whatever the statistics are at this point. Prove to them that you're not one of them. Say, yeah, that might be the rule, but I am the exception. And follow through on that belief with hard work and discipline. There is so much rhetoric out there these days about how you shouldn't work hard because it's capitalistic, and that there's no point in trying to work hard because it's not going to reap you any rewards. And I'm sorry, but that's not true. If you believe that, good luck, but I promise you there are people watching this video right now who are going to actually follow through with hard work, and it's going to show in their results. Hard work is not everything that's needed to succeed. Certainly luck can play a part in it. Usually it's a combination. Usually it's luck plus hard work. Luck alone is not going to get you success. And how do you deal with lack of resources? This is a tough one because it is the one that's most outside of your control. It does depend on other factors. You can't suddenly create resources out of thin air. That's just not possible. But the thing with resources is, you can start from nothing and slowly build on top of it. Let's say that you move somewhere new, you make one friend, then this one friend introduces you to their other friends. Out of their other friends, you maybe make one other close friend, and so on and so forth. You start with nothing, You then pick it up to 1, then 2, then 3, and slowly you build a social circle. Or you start with the seed for a vegetable. You plant the vegetable, and however many weeks or months a vegetable sprouts, then you have more seeds and you plant those, and then the next year you have a whole lot more vegetables. Resources can be financial, they can be material, like, house, a pair of shoes, a watch, whatever it is. They can be invisible, like skills that you have, and they can be social, like status. Whatever resource you are missing, think about the smallest step that you can take to build off of what you already have, even if what you already have is nothing. So let me give you another personal example. I mentioned that by the time I got to the internship application process, I got my top side, right? But I started with nothing. So I went into grad school straight out of undergrad, and I graduated at 21 years old because I skipped a year. So I was going into grad school at 21 years old. Some people were, 30 already, had a master's, had clinical experience. Others had taken gap years where they were just working in the clinical field. I had nothing compared to them. I had no clinical experience. So I was starting out at 0. And that first year that I was applying to a clinical rotation, I kind of took whatever I could get. I took the first experience that would take me. And it wasn't my favorite experience. But the following year, I built on that and I did something that gave me even more experience. And that second practicum experience was really very rich. It was a lot of work, a ton of work, but it gave me so much experience that I could speak to that from that point forward, I had a leg to stand on. I was no longer down here while my classmates were up here. I was now up here as well. And then the third time I was applying to practicum, I got my favorite site, which was wonderful and again gave me even more valuable experience. And then when I was applying to internship, I had all these prior experiences that I had built on starting from nothing. Sometimes we do start with nothing because of whatever circumstances, and it's really difficult to build that up and it takes time, but it is not impossible because you just have to build on it slowly. And yes, some people come in with an unfair advantage. Sometimes people are born wealthy or they have connections, whatever it is that you're concerned about in your industry. Life's not fair. Sometimes people have unequal footing. You just have to build with what you have available to you. She's so cute. Sun girl. So let's review what we've talked about so far. We feel envy when there's another person who has something that we really want and we don't have it and we don't think it's achievable for us to have it. Envy doesn't mean something is necessarily out of reach for us. It just means that we feel it's out of reach for us. We believe that even if it's not true. When we feel that way, it's time to assess, okay, where does this mindset come from? Sometimes it comes from poor self-efficacy, in which case the solution is throwing yourself into risks that are going to build self-efficacy, proving to yourself that you can do things you set out to do. Sometimes it comes from messaging that you receive from other people. If that's the case, simply ignore them and prove them wrong. Sometimes it comes from lack of resources. If that's the case, build off of what little you do have. But what about the things that are actually objectively out of reach for us, not possible to achieve, like gaining 5 inches of height as an adult, or moving to a country that will not give you a visa? If this is really truly the case and you've assessed, is this impossible for me? And the answer is yes, you have no choice but to radically accept your situation. There's no person in the world that has every single thing they want. All you can do is everything within your control to make your dream true, and release everything outside of your control. I've done videos on radical acceptance before, and honestly, I'm probably due for another one. So this is like a topic in and of itself. I'm not going to go into radical acceptance too much here, but if you are interested in a follow-up on radical acceptance, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to film one. If I can leave you with just one thought today, if you find yourself feeling envious very often, it's tempting to think it's about this person. But it's not about this person. It's about something within you. It's about your mindset, your beliefs about yourself, what you think that you can accomplish. And in most cases, it is not true that the things you want are actually out of reach for you. You are wasting so much energy hating on people who have something that you want, and you could be spending that energy trying to accomplish it for yourself, or deconstructing those self-defeating beliefs that make you think it's so out of reach in the first place. So the next time you feel envious about whatever it was that you reflected on in the beginning of the video, when I asked you to visualize something you're envious about, check in with yourself. Why do you think that you can't have this? Is that actually true? Is there something you could do to make it more possible for you to have this dream? Believe in yourself. Get inspired, not bitter. Let envy go. It's not about the other person. Hope you have a great day. See you soon.